Streets and Scholars, Alex Alonso and FG, here to bring you another banger. And man, I was checking out your Dallas Cowboys, man, and I was feeling the pain a little bit, man.
No doubt. I definitely was feeling, man. Baby boy, my son, he took it real hard, man, and the thing about it, Alex, is, we can't go out there and play for him, man. They got to go out there and get it done, man. But, the boy Dak can let me down again, man.
Especially, you just reached a major milestone, so I guess you was hoping to get a little gift from the Cowboys on your hell of a milestone that you just reached in life.
No doubt, man. I thought they was gonna bless me, and the thing about it, like I say, my birthday was the very next day after the game, man. I got this tight ass. I'm talking about a tight ass Cowboys jacket, and they didn't even give me a week to wear it. They didn't give me a week to go out there and, man, let me show y'all what I got. But yeah, man, it was disappointing being that, that game could have been won and they just didn't get it done, so that's what made it hurt. If they would have just came and blew us out or came and just smothered us, that's one thing. But, that game was winnable and they just didn't pull it off like usual.
It was very close, 19-12, just one score.
One score, man. So, it's what it is, man. They're going to have to do something.
Yeah, I figured that those two interceptions that Dak threw, which I believe one turned into a field goal for the Niners, and the other one might have been a touchdown, if I remember correctly.
I think it was a 9-point swing all the way around, but like I say, man, these dudes is need to be an overhaul from the top down, bro. And they keep going out there getting their ass whooped. Dak don't play with no passion. The head coach don't seem like he had no passion. And if you can't motivate your team, and Patrick Mahomes the other day, man, hurt leg, running around on one leg, throwing passes, you know what I mean, man, that's will, that's want, that's, and you got to have that fire. If you don't have that fire, I believe you would never just be a true champion.
But the way they played last week, when they scored over 30-something points, it looked like that's the Cowboys that was hungry.
No doubt. They went out there, man, that game and played their ass off, man, and I didn't see the same hunger, but also when our kicker missed that first field goal, that point after touchdown, I think that let some of the air out of them too. Like, damn, we worked all this hard to get down here to score a touchdown, bro. You can't even kick it 25 yards. So I believe it's a multitude of things, but I can't say that I do believe if Tony Pollard hadn't got hurt in that game, I still think we would have pulled it out even with Dak 2 picks, to be honest with you.
Hey, I didn't realize the kicker was so sorry.
Man, he
missed like 3 in a row.
Shit, he must be, man. Last game he missed 4 in a game, so I feel he got paid off or something, bro. Somebody just threatened to beat him up or something, man. But that shit pissed me off, to be honest with you.
And I saw you posted that picture of you with the Dallas Cowboys shirt on when you was about 12, 13 years old.
I was 12 years old, man. Them Niner fans was on my ass. I had to let them know, man. 2 things I've been doing a long time. You know what I mean? And a lot of people just laughed. My wife just laughed like, man, this dude is nuts, Had to let their ass know, man. I ain't new to this shit.
Now, I was listening to Stephen A. Smith. I didn't realize he was such a Cowboys hater. He said that he called the Dallas Cowboys fans a bunch of cockroaches because they're everywhere.
Well, that's true, but this is the thing about it. I had a little get-together last night, an extension of my birthday and all these things, and my nephew and them Niner fans was in there. They was in there talking shit, but what they don't realize is I heard one of the homies say, man, I hate the Cowboys. And I hear a lot of people say, I hate the Cowboys. Alex, there's not a team out there that I hate. I'll root against you if you playing for my team, but if another team is playing, there's no team out there that I just be like, I can't stand them. You know what I mean? I hate them. And there's people who really hate the Cowboys. I was telling my youngest daughter the other day, because she said, man, Daddy, I'm thinking about switching over to the Bengals with Joe Burrow. You know what I mean? She said, it's hard being the Cowboys.
Hey, I didn't realize.
We laughed and shit.
What's his name? Stephen A. Smith. Apparently, he just came out with a book, and he's got a whole chapter in there. I don't know what that chapter is called, but it's basically hating on the Cowboys.
Oh, no doubt,
and
man.
He's a professional, though.
Well, no. He makes it known that he hates on the Cowboys. I respect his opinion, when he in his haterism. He confesses that it's a real, and it's not the Cowboys that he say he hates, it's the fans, and because we are everywhere, we do talk a lot of shit, you know what I mean, and we haven't won nothing in a long time, but branding and marketing keep our team at the top of the TV list. Everybody want to watch us play, you know, and Jerry Jones still making a lot of money over there, even if we lose. And so that's what makes it so hard. This dude makes money even when we lose. So how are we going to win if you still making money when we losing? You know, it's hard for somebody to make the decisions that need to be made if you're not losing any money.
Well, it's one of the few franchises in all professional sports that's going to make a profit regardless if they're winning or losing.
No doubt. And that's crazy.
It is crazy.
You know, yeah.
I think the Yankees are like that too. It don't matter. There was a whole decade. I think for the Cowboys, it's been, 20-something years?
Yeah, it's been a long time, man.
Yeah, the Yankees didn't do anything in the 1980s, the whole decade of the 80s, but they made money though, you know.
Oh, no doubt. You know what I mean? George Steinbrenner was over there, man.
Oh, yeah.
Racking it in, you know.
You mentioned Jerry Jones. We never did get to talk about this on Streets and Scholars. It was one of the topics I had in the back of my mind to bring up, but you know, maybe about a month ago, a photo of him when he was 14 years old popped up on the internet, blocking black kids from going to school with a bunch of other, no doubt racist white kids. Of course, he's in the back. He's one of the younger ones, but I never did get to ask you what's your take on that, being that, you know, you're a big fan of the team.
Well, my take on it is this. I mean, you know, I got a lot. Man, for some reason, man, it be dudes all in my inbox, you know, I don't even know, talking shit about the Cowboys. You know, they think it's funny. They think it's, you know, one thing I never do, Alex, is talk some shit, you know, about somebody's team unless I'm playing them or something, right? Or we playing them, the Cowboys playing them. So I got a lot of questions on that, man. Your owner is a racist, and your owner is, man, all of them are almost as racist. It's not a black owner in the NFL to this day, bro. That hasn't been voted on by not just Jerry Jones. You know what I mean? It has to be a multiple variety of owners that's blocking, you know, African Americans from owning a NFL franchise. We have the people that can do it, you know. So a lot of wealthy black people that could put the money together and own a team. They just not letting them do it. So go specifically back to the picture. You talking about 1957?
It was definitely in the 50s. Yep.
1950 in the 50s, you know, and a whole lot of these white towns was racist. This what the tone was. This what it was. Martin Luther King and all them told you what and showed you what it was back in the 50s. You know what I mean? So to be honest with you, it don't surprise me. He grew up in an era where that's what it really was. You know what I mean? Where racism was at an all-time high. He could have had, I'm sure his grandparents and parents could have been, you know, racial, you know, racist, you know, and when I say that, I mean by default, just based on we grew up in a town with 200 white folks and 10 black people, you know what I mean? And it's just what it is, you know. So I didn't take it too hard like that. Now he claimed I was just there to see what was going on. You know what I mean? You know,
that is kind of funny.
Yeah. You know,
but he might be able to get away with that, right? Because he's in the back.
No, he's in the back, and he don't have the look on his face like some of the other dudes. Some of the other dudes was up front, look like they was like, man, we not having to get your ass up out of here, right? And he looked like he just kind of looking like, hey, what's going on? But you was with him, you was there. He had the same mentality as them, you know. And like I say, man, you know, some of these. And you could tell by how him and Al Davis run their franchise that, you know, even with the kneeling, he said, if you kneel on my team, you out of here. With the Colin Kaepernick situation, you kneel on, so he still ain't changed that much, I don't think. But I think a whole lot of owners feel the same way he do.
I'm surprised that this photo just popped up like recently. This photo's been around for decades, and it just shows you, man, the internet's undefeated. And in 2020, I think it came out late 2022. We're in 2023. I'm just surprised, like now this photo's popping up.
I believe some other owners got a hold of it and put it out there. Other owners in the NFL don't like Jerry Jones. You know, he's bogarting them out of a lot of situation, a lot of money that the revenue sharing and all that. He got the biggest franchise out there. You know, his vote carries weight within the NFL. In the league in itself, I'm sure it's owners that can't wait for him to get up out of there as well, not just some of the, you know, fans and shit.
Well, yeah, it is 1957. You could definitely tell in this photo, there's a guy in the front with a cigarette.
Yeah, he looked like he with the shit. Yeah. Like, he looked like, you know.
He's actually face to face with one of the black students there, so you could tell this guy's with it.
Right, but I mean, just let's be fair. You know, say somewhere in an African town where no white people, all black, and this white town comes in and they want to integrate the schools, it could go either way, whether it's Asians, whether it's blacks, whether it's anytime you in a vicinity where it's multiple of one race, they could not want another race to come in and infiltrate or share their schools or workplaces or things of this nature, because they've been doing it with just them for so long. I wasn't around back in them days, but I can only imagine the tension, man, that black people had to go through, as far as you can't drink out of a white sink or use a white restaurant, man. That had to be the most humiliating thing and degrading thing, man, in the world.
Yeah, man. Did it hit you a little bit when this came out, because you being such an avid follower of the Cowboys, and now people have ammunition to say, why you are fans of such a, I guess, a racist now institution?
Well, yeah, my whole thing was I was around before Jerry Jones.
That's true.
You know what I mean? I go back to Tom Landry and Roger Staubach and and all those boys. I remember he bought the team in '89, and the way he fucked over, and I'm gonna use that term because that's what he did to Tom Landry, the legend. The way he, fired him and got rid of him, and the way he did him. He didn't even just call him in there to fire. I think Tom Landry might have found out he was fired over TV or something, you know what I mean? And so I felt that he was a piece of shit at that moment in '89,
Is that when he brought in Jimmy Johnson?
That's when he brought in Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah.
And then him and Jimmy Johnson, Jimmy Johnson blew up because he put the team together that he put together, and Jerry Jones was hating so much, he fired the man after 2 Super Bowl wins. Who fires a coach after 2 Super Bowl wins and all the coach is saying is, let me run this shit, stop interfering with my players and shit. Let me grab the players and pick the players and do what I need to do to keep you successful. He was hating so much, bro, that he fired Jimmy Johnson because he wanted to be the man. He wanted to shine. And to this day, he's never hired a GM. He picks the player, and the head coach picks the players. Dude, why are you 80 years old? Why are you in there picking players? Kick back, hire people to run your team, man, and you'll be successful. And it's almost, and it's dudes like this, like I said, I don't care for him at all. But I'm kind of certain, or I'm at an age where I could see him come and I could see him go. His son Stephen don't have the same views as he do. I believe Stephen will take the organization in a different direction. But Jerry Jones, Al Davis, and some of them guys, they was all alike, bro. They really are what they are. Just to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, this was in Little Rock, Arkansas, man. This is like the bedrock of the South, and that's what the culture was back then. Now that your team is out, are you still going to follow the NFC Championship game between the 49ers and the Eagles, and the AFC game between Cincy and KC?
Oh, no doubt, man. That Cincy and KC game can go any way. The quarterback over there, Kansas City, not at full health right now, man. So Cincinnati may pop him again, just like they did last year. If he was at full health, I would say it'd just be a great. I mean, it's still gonna be a great game, But Mahomes is not at his best. As far as the NFC, of course, man, I'm an avid football fan. I would rather see the Eagles win. Not just because they in our division, but because they haven't done it in a long time. The Niners haven't won one in a long time, but they've been to a couple Super Bowls and been to the NFC Championship game. They really have a solid franchise over there. And but I think the Eagles is their time. I don't even know when the last time the Eagles won a Super Bowl. It was a lot of years. But and that's just going to it. Who's to say they're gonna beat Cincy or KC? So hey man, it's the best teams are in right now. The teams that deserve they playing. We're gonna see who pull it off.
Yeah, I remember Philly went to 4 straight NFC Championship games under Donovan McNabb, but I think he lost all of those.
I like Donovan McNabb. Andy Reid was over there too. The Philly coach back then that was coaching Donovan McNabb today is the Kansas City Chiefs head coach. So Andy Reid, man, is a damn good coach. He's the type of coach that would never go to Dallas and coach because Jerry Jones wants to meddle with everything that the coaches do. Right now, we need to fire this coach right now that we have and go get Sean Payton. He was the coach over. He was our offensive coordinator. Then he went to New Orleans Saints as their head coach. Won a Super Bowl with Drew Brees. He just retired from coaching, but he's coming back. He's even interviewing for other jobs. He want to coach Dallas because he lives in Dallas, you know. But Sean Payton is a no-nonsense coach, you know. Jerry Jones are going to hire. He's only going to hire passive coaches that, you know, kiss his ass and do what he say. Yes, man. He's not going to hire a coach. That's why he got rid of Jimmy Johnson, you know. And he don't want a coach that's really going to come in there and do what they need to do because he wants to be the man and he don't want the coach to be the man.
Well, I'm actually very impressed of your NFL knowledge, your football IQ. Shoot, we need to get you on a sports podcast, man.
Yeah, man, I like that football, but at the same time, you know, them Cowboys be stressing me. Don't nothing stress me out like them Cowboys, man. I mean, I run a smooth life, man, until I start watching them Cowboys, man. But that's my team, man.
All right. I wanted to get into an update of a topic that we talked about before, Shanquella Robinson. And really the update is that there is no update. And it seems like
I was going to say, damn.
Everyone forgot about this case.
Man, there's something going on with that. Hey, man, the people probably just going to walk, homie.
Yeah, and I guess it's because it happens in another jurisdiction. It gets a little tricky when you have a crime that happened down in Mexico. But I'm a little surprised of the lack of conversation about it. But now we live in this era now, especially with the internet, especially with social media, that a story only stays a story for such a short amount of time now.
No doubt, but a murder stays a murder forever.
That's true. No statute of limitations.
And the feds had their nose in it. You know, different police departments had their nose in it. This was an international thing, and could nobody come up with a solution to get this girl some justice? I mean, they dogged her out, homie. You know, and it ain't like she was robbing somebody and she got killed and they not doing nothing about it, bro. She was dogged the fuck out, homie.
I got a little clip here from the local news. This was a recent clip. Let's hear what this news clip was about on this Shanquella case.
We can share some new details tonight, though, on the Mexican investigation into the death of a 25-year-old Charlotte woman while in Cabo.
Mexico prosecutors discussed their investigation into Shanquella Robinson's case during a recent news conference. Robinson went missing while vacationing in Mexico with a group of friends. She was later found dead, suffering a broken neck and a severe spinal cord injury. The state prosecutor from Baja California Sur says the investigation is ongoing and that he's looking to extradite an unnamed suspect to the United States. He says Mexican authorities are also investigating others who may have been involved beyond the single suspect.
There is no impunity in a case that is being fully investigated. Right now, it was important to obtain, above all, the judicial order of the presumed person responsible for these unfortunate events, but also other situations of criminal responsibility and complicity.
The prosecutor says the investigation is a collaboration with American authorities. He says federal investigators have requested interviews conducted by Mexican authorities of Robinson's friends who were with her on that trip.
That's just the latest. That's the story that came out of the local news down in, I believe, what was it, North Carolina that they're from?
Was it North Carolina?
Yeah, but really there's no new information. It's the same information. We knew that they wanted to talk to or wanted to arrest one of the people that was there, but they didn't name him. And so far, no one's been arrested.
Yeah, that got to be hurtful for the parents, man. You know, I mean, I ain't gonna lie, I'd be heartbroken just to know that, you know, my daughter was done like that, man. And there's no, it's they like just fuck it.
Yeah, I don't. I think I would have went down there and well, now that all of them are here, all of the people that were there are here, I would have knocked on the door of every single one of those people that was involved. I probably would have been a little bit more aggressive with it. I'd been on the news already.
Oh, no, motherfucker.
Of the number of doors I done busted down.
Trust me, bro. Trust me. You know, there ain't no doubt about it. You know, they would have definitely got hollered at, you know, and that's just the real. I mean, you know, I don't give a fuck who listening. That's just the real. You did my daughter like that, man, and then you gonna come sit in my kitchen and act like you don't know what's going on and eat my motherfucker food. You would have been the first motherfucker I would have, you know what I mean? So, hey, man, you know, I just feel for their family. You know, everybody not like that, don't have that kind of temperament, but, you know, man, that's messed up.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I don't recall if we talked about, we did talk about the Takeoff case. Takeoff is the rapper from the Migos that was shot and killed in Houston outside of a venue. They eventually arrested this dude named DJ Patrick Xavier Clark, And the only update on this case is that he had $1 million bail, and guess what? He bailed out.
Shit, he bailed out, or somebody bailed him out.
Yeah.
You know, somebody that, you know, somebody loved him. So he out fighting that case. If he had the money to bail out, I'm sure he got money for an attorney. He finna fight that tooth and nails, man. And, you know, don't be surprised if shit don't go the way, you know, the fans want it to.
I'm surprised. I got a bunch of like DMs and a couple of emails saying that this guy is a fall guy. They're making it seem as if there's some sort of government conspiracy involved and that he has absolutely nothing to do with it. And I'm like, how do y'all even come to this conclusion?
Well, I didn't do the homework to see whose camp was he from, whose friend was it. You know, was he actually Takeoff's them friend, or was he the other team's, the other guy's friend? You know, because just because he shot him don't mean, you know, he did it on purpose. You know, and that could be a whole nother situation that you'll be surprised who actually bailed him out because they know he didn't try to do it. So now they know it was an accident. So now they want to try to, you know, I mean, it can go so many ways, and I don't have the answer to some of these questions.
Yeah, I do recall the chief of police from Houston said there were 2 shooters that night.
Mm-hmm.
And based on this arrest, we don't know which shooter he is. But,
Right.
But they're saying, of course, he's the shooter where the bullet hit Takeoff. But my question is, I wonder if shooter number 1 was shooting in the direction of shooter number 2, and then shooter number 2 shot Takeoff, maybe on accident.
No doubt. That's what I'm saying. You know, they keeping it close to him. You know, they not putting out as much information. They could have found out that this technically was an accident. That could have been why he was granted bail in the first place. I was surprised he even got bail. So once he got bail, even just a number before he even bailed out, for them to give him the bail like that, they may know more than we do. You know, on which direction the shooters were shooting.
Yeah, on that point you just said about you're surprised he got bail is because we were talking about the Cain Velasquez case, which was not a murder,
right?
And they wouldn't give him bail for, I don't know what, 8 months or something, 9 months.
No doubt, and I mean, you know, this is a murder. Young Thug is not technically charged with a murder. You know, neither was Gunner, and neither one of them guys got a bail. So I'm wondering, like I say, do they know something we don't, or, you know, is there some special circumstances, or is this guy's, and I believe, I don't know if this guy's, what his arrest record look like, but he's out, bro.
Yeah, but he has one other arrest that resulted in a homicide where I think the case was dismissed on him, or I'm not sure. I might have to check on that.
Something of that nature. I don't want to bring that up, but it was something of that nature if I can't recall. Yeah, and but that goes to show he's not new at shooting either. So that's why another reason I was surprised that he got a bail.
But because that case either got dismissed or he beat it, I think it's unfair to even hold it against him. It's nothing that should even. I know on the internet people are going to talk about it. Oh, he has this other case, but in the court of law, it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant
in the court of law, Alice, but it's not irrelevant in your mind and heart. You know what I mean? So if you in a situation where you hear somebody got a problem, your lawnmower come up stolen, you found to hear who did it, and you know he stole somebody else's lawn or was accused of stealing somebody else's lawnmower before, you kind of gonna be like, maybe he did steal it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That don't mean he did, and just because if he was exonerated from the other case, then you, like you say, you can't hold it against him, man. But sometimes in the back of your mind, you use that shit.
But him getting $1 million bail is the way it's supposed to be. The way that Cain Vasquez did not get a bail, that was ridiculous on the part of that judge, Shalana, the black female judge.
Yeah.
And also in Young Thug's and Gunner's case, it's ridiculous that they didn't get bail because the lawyers were fighting it. The lawyers were saying, why are you not giving these guys bail? You got no reason. And they said, oh, yeah, we got a reason because there's a text message that said that he was going to do something crazy or something that they interpreted as being crazy. So they were denied bail, but Gunner should have got a bail for the same amount, $1 million. Young Thug should have got a bail. And Cain Velasquez bail actually should have been lower than $1 million. I forget what his bail was, but he should have got his bail immediately. He didn't, but eventually 8-9 months later, he got his bail. He's free. And his next court date is in March. And they're going to be setting a trial date for that case that everybody's going to be paying attention to.
Yeah, no doubt.
He's fighting for his life in that case because they're trying to wash him up, even though it's not even a murder. It's a guy that got shot. I think he got shot in the arm or the leg, and I feel like he was in his he was defending his family's name, I would say.
No doubt, but he chased him down. He shot into a vehicle with multiple passengers. They gonna try to use all that to railroad him, but when you get down to the facts of the case, when it comes to a jury, I think a jury gonna have more compassion on why he did it. Especially the ones with kids. His defense attorney is gonna definitely want jurors to pick jurors that have children or kids that are in daycare age, or even just kids. Period. Moms. Dads. Who you showed that they're compassionate about their children. Man, them the dudes he gonna want on that jury.
Well, it's funny to see when he was going to court, the people outside the courtroom, the courthouse, were basically fans for Kane, saying that Kane should be free. Usually you got people outside the courthouse that are for the victim.
Right.
They're for the defendant. So I think it's going to be tough. Public opinion is already on the side of Cain Velasquez.
No doubt. That's why I say in a jury trial, he may come out better than he would taking the deal,
Hopefully he gets a good jury there out of the county up there. All right, let's talk about the Oath Keepers, man. Remember we talked about what was this guy's name that was found guilty?
Stephen Rhodes or Stephen Rhodes or something?
Yeah, Rhodes. Rhodes was found guilty of seditious conspiracy, which is a charge that is, I believe, this is only the fourth time or the fifth time someone's been found guilty of this case, of this charge, in like 100 years. It's not something commonly used.
Nah, no doubt. But he was also one of the leaders of the Oath Keeper, which they tried to make it seem like they was a political group, but they really was, racist white boys, So he took it to trial under the understanding of what his charges was. And, sometimes, you play with them, they gonna holler at you. When he goes to sentencing.
He gets sentenced later this year, but 4 more Oath Keepers were just found guilty a few days ago of the same case, of the same charge, seditious conspiracy.
Oh, wow.
And they're not playing, the federal government is not playing around with these guys. They're finding them all guilty. I don't think not one single person who decided to take this case to trial has won.
No doubt they haven't, but they trying to show them something they not learning. Way back when they got the first guy. And y'all still not believers? Y'all don't think that we not going to find you guilty because you may have a different word in your case or a different couple charges? It all falls under the same umbrella, and that's going against the United States of America. So they gonna make an example out of it.
Yeah, and I believe they deserve every minute, every hour, every day they get in prison, because Roberto Menuda, Joseph Hackett, David Morshell, and Edward Vallejo were each found guilty of seditious conspiracy by a Washington, D.C. jury only after 4 days of deliberation. Is actually that's a lot of deliberating there.
That's a long time.
Yeah. So there might have been a little disagreement, but they all were found guilty, and it looks like they're going to the federal penitentiary. It says here all 4 could face a maximum sentence of 20 years, but we know that no one's getting these type of sentences. What was that sentence that the guy with the gun, he got like 7 years. He didn't get nothing too major, but shoot, 7 years is 7 years.
Hell yeah, it is. Shit, Alex, 7 years a long time, man. I don't care what nobody shot.
But all of these guys are the max is 20.
Yeah.
So I don't think anyone's going to get over 10. But hey, when you take it to trial, you should be penalized for wasting the time of the court rather than just, plead guilty, take a deal, and go to prison.
No doubt. They spend a lot of money for them trials. So they definitely going to get bust upside the head for that. They trying to show the next people coming down the road. It's another group that's coming down with the same seditious conspiracy charges. They trying to let people know, man, that you're not finna come up in here and beat us on this. We gonna book you on this. Take that deal, because they getting offered deals, believe me. Take that deal, and when they turn them deals down because they so proud, or they too, high and mighty, I've actually seen these kind of people in prison, man, who just felt the government couldn't do them like this shit, man. The government, they get on your ass, they get on your ass.
Yeah, this is these 4 guys represent the 12th Americans that have ever been convicted of seditious conspiracy in the whole history of this country. So that's how rare this case, this charge is. They represent just the 12th guy ever found guilty of this case.
Yeah, but they know about it. They understand it. They know the statistics because they lawyer do. Their attorneys don't. Hey man, listen, man. Y'all batting, 0-11 with this, 0-9, and y'all gonna try y'all hand with it, and some of them will.
Now this group of guys the Oath Keepers were founded by Stuart Rhodes.
Okay, my bad.
Stuart Rhodes, who was already found guilty. He'll be on his way to prison in about a couple of months. Was founded by him, and they popped up at pro-Trump rallies, and they developed a huge movement across the country, and they were considered part of the planners of January 6th. And now we have almost 1,000 people have been charged on January 6th.
No doubt, but the thing about it is they still not getting the picture, Alex. They still trying to go to trial. They still trying to, whatever they trying to do. I believe a lot of it got to do with the appeals rights. They trying to keep those open in case something move later on down the line. But at the same time, you may could be home. But, if you'd have took 3 and you got 6, sometimes it don't add up,
So these guys are the first ones found guilty of this charge since 1995. The last person was an Egyptian cleric that was linked to a bombing of some New York City landmarks. I guess a Muslim extremist from Egypt. So yeah, this is a very rare charge, and there are going to be some more people. The Proud Boys, I'm gonna predict they're gonna be found guilty when they go to trial.
I don't know. They may reconsider. But they that proud, they may not, you know what I mean, and go in there and take it on the chin and come out with what they come out with.
They better take it to trial since the Proud Boys.
You say go on, go. Yeah. Go on up in there.
Yeah, go up there, spend all that money on them lawyers, and be proud about it and try to defend all that crazy stuff you guys did on January 6th by running up in government buildings with guns and grenades and pistols and swords and all kind of weapons. Hey, I think people died that day too.
Yeah, yep, no doubt, man.
All right, let's see. I want to talk about this one because this is a place that you know very well, man, and this is crazy, man. There's 3 guys that were serving time in Victorville Federal Prison were just found guilty. Actually, they took a deal. They were they pled guilty to second-degree murder for a murder or a killing that happened in 2013. They're just being the case is just wrapping up this week. 10 years later?
Damn.
So my first question is, why would it take so long? And it's not like it took so long to figure out who was involved. They knew who was involved initially. In fact, it was 4 guys that were involved in this back in 2013. 3 people ended up pleading guilty. The 4th person, I don't know what's going on with that person. But why 10 years to eventually end this case?
You know what? That's a damn good question. I don't know if the wheels turn slow just based on, the evidence that they have because they were in there. It wasn't like a gun or a knife was used. It was a physical altercation. That was the report said hands and feet were used, and even though the person who's deceased was badly beaten, it wasn't like you stabbed him or shot him. So I'm thinking they were trying to figure out the appropriate charges to charge these guys with based on was it an accident? Was it they didn't mean to go this far? I mean, I don't have the answer to the questions. I'm wondering why it took 10 years as well. That's a long damn time.
Now, this is the same year that you was released from the feds.
No doubt. Same year I was in there. I was actually at this same facility where this happened at. I do have a little knowledge on it about where it happened at, and I could picture it vividly going down right there because in that same spot, I've seen other shit go down right there. From what I'm hearing, it happened in the evening time, nighttime. So, the cameras might have couldn't get a good shot at them, but they immediately got these guys. But 10 years later, I don't know. I mean, that's a great question. That's a long damn time.
Now, how many different yards are at Victorville?
You got 3 different prisons. You got the USP, you got the FCI 1, you got the FCI 2. All of them rocking and rolling. And it's a lot of more lifers over there at the USP, but it's lifers on every yard, and at that prison, it's not a prison for the weak by far. You hit the prison, your shit ain't right, you getting rolled up. You know what I mean? I know because at this same facility where this happened at, Alex, I happen to be a part of setting the rules here back when we opened this facility in 2005 when there was 50 people there. You know what I mean? I went through the politics to make sure the Bloods got to sit where the Bloods sit. You know what I mean? It got to food strikes to the administration and the warden to try to make shit happen, you know, for them to put TVs in, for them to do certain shit for us, you know, at this very facility. So, you know, I was an intricate part in going to the hole a lot for, you know, rebelling against the system. You know, also, you know, we was there when it was 150 blacks, period, you know, and 900 Mexicans, you know, sorted out between, you know, Paisas and Serranos and, you know, So I'm very familiar with it. I know the dealings with it. One thing I know about it is, you know, if you ain't on your shit or you ain't right, you gonna get your ass whipped or you gonna get stabbed. That's just how over there at that Victorville too, man. Is, you know, that's how it was.
So you said that you're familiar with the location where this took place, and you said that a lot of stuff happens there. Is it because it's kind of like in the cut somewhere?
No, it's just because it may take the police or the COs a length of time to get there. It's kind of furthest away from where the, you know, lieutenant's office is, you know. So it's going to take you probably a little more time to get to that location than some others.
Okay. And when something like this happens and the COs eventually are called to come, what happens to the rest of the prison at that point?
Well, they got this thing called the deuces. It's called when they hit the deuces, it's an alarm that goes off, and you're basically supposed to, and I went to the hole for this before, but you're supposed to freeze wherever you at. When them deuces go off, you stand right where you stand. They gonna run to where they gonna run to. They gonna handle their situation, and until they say, you know, everybody to their units, you basically gonna stand in that one particular area, unless it's one of your homeboys or it's one of your peoples. You know, if it's something going on with the Mexicans or something going on with the, you know, Asians or something like that, I'm gonna stand there and just chill, you know, till them people do what they got to do, you know. But if it got something, I see one of my homies, I'm not finna stand nowhere. I'm finna run over there and get cracking with it. You know what I mean? And
do they have a gun tower there?
Not at the 1 and 2. They don't.
Okay.
That's what makes the Fed so dangerous. That's what makes the 1 and 2 yards so much dangerous. They have a gun tower at the USP. They do not have a gun tower at the 1 and 2. So when your ass start getting stabbed, guess what? You just getting stabbed until the police come. Or you really getting stabbed till the motherfucker stabbing you get tired, man.
So there's really no threat from a gunner in the tower to take you out when it's time to get it cracking on the yard.
No, that's why it gets cracking on the yard. That's why it's as rough as it is. And people be like, you know, what a state this and state this. I've been on the Tehachapi 3 yard. Gun tower in the kitchen, gun tower in the unit, gun tower everywhere. So it still cracks off, but this is why people say, oh, the feds is this. For one, Victorville is a gangbang facility. You know what I mean? If you at either one of those yards, it's gang members there now. A lot of gang members are in the feds now. That's not the 1980s where, you know, it was nice and cushy. They still have those spots somewhere. It's not at Victorville. You know what I mean? So when they get cracking at Victorville, man, it take manpower to come stop those situations. By the time the police get there, out where this situation happened, it's done, man. It's over.
Now, I'm surprised that as active as Victorville is, that they wouldn't want to put a gun tower in there to have some more control for things like this.
Well, you know, for one, that take money, and I believe that when they built medium security prisons and called them that, they didn't felt they needed them. They probably didn't understand how many gang members was going to be, you know, designated to one prison, how many gang members were actually coming to federal prisons nowadays. You know, you got to understand, you seeing every day on the news, you got the bank robberies, you got the smash and grabs, you got a lot of these crimes that's resulting in federal crimes is gang members. You know, so now when you get gang members out of medium for shit, and you can't send them all to the pen. Either they points not there, or you can't just stuff all the pen, you know, the USPs, you know, and so man, it gets cracking on that Victorville yards 1 and 2, man.
So do they do like a lockdown when they tell everybody to freeze? Do they eventually lock the prison down like they do in the States where everything's cut off, no more visiting? There's no everyone's going to the hole, or they just shut the whole yard down for like a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
Well, they're gonna immediately shut the yard down. Everybody to their cells. If you in your unit and they hit the deuces, Soon as they hit the deuces, you're gonna know because the CEO and all the administrative staff that's in your building are gonna run out the unit and go to the facilities. When they hit them deuces, it's all hands on deck. If it's a secretary in a suit, if it's a case manager in a dress, if it's you running your ass to that situation, So when you do that, shit, guess what we doing if I'm in the unit? I'm going to get my ice, put my last little food in the microwave. I'm trying to, get my clothes out the dryer. You know what I mean? You trying to get your shit together because you finna be locked down. Once they lock the facility down, everybody get locked down. They designate who is involved. They go to those unit, get those dudes, take them to the hole. Once they realize that, after that, what takes so long sometimes to open up the yard is to see that if we open it up, the two parties that got into it, is it going to be some more retaliation? If it's a situation where they can just isolate, it was an isolated incident, they'll open back the yard later that day. You know what I mean? But if it's a certain group, certain gangs that then got into it, they know it's gonna be some more shit later. They gon' lock it down and keep it locked down till they feel, I mean, I've been in situations, man, where they didn't came and I remember one time they took the 21 Crips to the hole and took me, and it was a Crip situation. I'm like, what the fuck I'm in here for? They like, 'cause we knew you knew what was going on before it went on. We knew the Crips told you what was cracking. UFG. We know how you rock and roll over here. You know what I mean? I'm like, bro, I ain't, I don't. They knew I didn't have shit to do with it, but that's just how it was, And eventually, they let everybody out. Once they let everybody out, it won't be no more smoke. That's just how it is, bro. You got to take it on the chin when they take you to the hole for something that you don't got shit to do with. Food strike. We did a food strike. We waited till every year the region comes to look at the prison because the region is the ones who allocate money for prisons. The region came. Every time the region come, they want to feed us good and act like they treating us good and shit. We did a food strike. We did a sit-in rather when the region came. Oh, that shit looked so bad on the prison, man. As soon as the region people going, they got to locking our ass up for sure. And they got designated people who they feel got some say-so around this yard that they gonna automatically go get whether you was involved or not. That's just how it is, So it's a delicate. They got their shit together in order how they handle shit,
Now, when something like this is gonna go down, like it went down on October 1st, 2013, do the people that are about to get active let people from other races and other groups say, hey, we about to handle some business, we just letting you know so y'all can stay out the way?
Yeah, sometimes they do. I've had groups come to me and say, man, get out the way. Hey, it's a Sereno. Hey, man, get out the way. Tell your folks. They'll just be telling me personally. It's not like they make no alarm because, of course, you still got rats that's gangsters, And but I've been told plenty of times, hey, homie, how your homies, off the yard, we gon', and that was just a personal. They wasn't supposed to be telling me or nothing, but that was just something personal they gave me. And I tipped the homies, hey, homie, it's gonna get cracking, so. And don't go out there that first unlock, or something like that, Or I done have motherfuckers come to me and say, hey, homie, if dude them owe you some money, get your money, homie, because we finna go up on this dude. And I done had to go do it before. Hey, homie, you owe the homie some money, run that, And man, what's up, FG? No, I just need that bread, homie, And you gotta, it's just business, But sometimes it don't. I don't know if this was a planned attack or if dude disrespected them out on the yard, or something of that nature, and it just went down how it went down. So in that case, no, you wouldn't get a tip off. You would just see it cracking, But sometimes, some of these things are well planned.
Yeah, because they actually charged 4 people for assaulting and killing this guy. Xavier Sandez is the guy that got killed on October 1st of 2013. And they charged 4 people. A guy named Patino, who was 39 out of Riverside, Ruiz, who was 48 out of San Diego, Villegas, 41 from LA, and Reyes, 37 from LA. But what's crazy is the Patino, this guy was only serving a 16-month sentence, and now he got caught up in a whole case that's going to probably end up costing him probably 20 years.
Nah, no doubt, and that's the unfortunate shit about prison. That's the unfortunate thing about being a gangster. You can come on a violation. It's homies that came back to the feds because they did their time and they got violated. Came back with 6 months on the violation. points was still up, so they was gonna come to a gangster yard, you know, because that's where they left from, and when they get there, a riot get off, and they get stabbed 6 times, you know, and damn, I did 13 years, and it was cool. I come back for 6 months, man, and get stabbed 6 times. That's the way the ball bounced, man. And when we say suit up, you know what I mean. I know one time when I was in the state, homie, and I got into it with this dude, we was gonna get down. And one of the homies was like, man, this dude FG tripping, man. I go home in 6 days. You know what I mean? You know, I heard him say that. You know what I mean? You know, and you know, and I gave him a look, homie. It ain't over till it's over. You when you go home is when you go home. Up until the day you go home, bro, anything can happen. And that's just really how it is. Don't get me wrong. There's ways to stay out the way a little bit, but at the same time, man, if you call the duty to rock and roll, shit, you gotta rock and roll. They situation though could have been some shot caller shit. He could have got called. I don't give a fuck how much time you go. Y'all, you and you go handle that. It could have went down like that. You know, shit. They was from San Diego, Los Angeles, and somewhere else. That wasn't a one gang thing. That wasn't like that was some 18th Streets, or that wasn't like that. You get what I'm saying? Somebody, you know, bigger than them probably shit. They man, you and y'all make that happen. They had to make it happen.
Yeah, I was checking that out, that they're all from different parts of the state.
Yeah.
Riverside, San Diego, and the other 2 are from LA. And that's kind of messed up. Like, if you're on the yard and you're called to duty, I mean, why not just pick the dudes who's doing at least 150 months, you know, and they ain't got as much to lose as a guy that's got 1 year left.
Nah, no doubt, but that ain't how gangster shit work. You know what I mean? Because the dude who doing the motherfucking, 150 months probably done already put some work in. He could have came with 6 months and put some work in and end up with 150 months. You don't know what he already did for the gang, for the system, you know what I mean, for the race, you know. So you 3 dudes ain't certified yet. Y'all ain't did shit. You got 16 months. Your hands ain't been dirty. Go get them dirty. You know, and that's how that shit works sometimes. I remember one time, like I say, it was a couple homies that they had big homies on the yard from their neighborhood, you know, and they big homies told them go up in that cell and handle that, you know what I mean? Go up in there and stab the shit out of dude, you know, and I just happened to be so cool with one of the youngsters and shit, and he was like, man, L, you know, I ain't never did that shit, you know what I mean, man? I don't really know what to do. You know what I mean? You know, and I say, man, you know, I can't step in on that call, you know, but at the same time, tell them to go with you. You know, all these big homies and shit out there. And I'm going to put this out there, just period. All you big homies out there sending these dudes that ain't never been on no missions, trust me, I don't condone it, you know what I mean? But sometimes this shit happens. You sending dudes out there on blind missions, they ain't never did nothing. You know what I mean? But you want to call shot, go do it with them, you know, and put your life on the line with them. You know what I mean? If you so adamant about it, and that's the whole thing about it, you know, you got dudes just telling dudes what to do, Alex, and they fucking their life off trying to go do it, you know?
Yeah, and that's probably one reason why some of these dudes be like, man, I'm going to go on a PC yard because they are sending me on missions. I didn't come to prison to do missions.
No doubt, you know, especially some stupid shit. It ain't like, you know, it's a grudge you got with the dude. I don't got a grudge with the dude, you know, certain shit like that, or, you know, but it just say if the dude was a rat though, you know, you got to send somebody up in there to handle that. And, you know, hey, different people get picked, man. You when you sign up for this gangster shit, a lot come with it, Alex.
Well, the guy that was doing 16 months, Patino, he was doing the least amount of time of the other 3. Christopher Sneaky Ruiz, he was already doing 10 years for racketeering and methamphetamine violations. Jose Torch Villegas, I forget how much time he was doing. Adelson Shanky Reyes, he was doing 135 months. But what's interesting, only 3 guys took this plea deal to plead guilty of second-degree murder. This 4th guy, Adelson Shanky Reyes, I was expecting to see his name in this case, but it's not. It hasn't even been a part of this case. Mm-hmm. And I wonder why initially he was charged like 5-6 years ago, but now today he's not even part of the case.
Many factors. I mean, Alex, he could have just been there and didn't do not one kick, not one hit, not one, you know. And how do you charge a person who didn't participate at all? he didn't run or nothing. He just didn't, maybe the other three was on him so tough he never actually participated. You should be able to, most of the time they will give you accessory after the fact or a still accessory, or he could have told. You already know he could have, but he definitely could have cooperated.
But by the time the COs run to this place, to this location, to this spot, they don't know who did what, right? Because everybody's already fall back into different positions.
Yeah, but they rely on camera. They got cameras everywhere now. Back in the old days when they had Old Folsom and Soledad and, Jamestown and stuff like that back in the day, they didn't have no cameras in them facilities. You know what I mean? Everything relied on either somebody gonna tell you or you just wasn't gonna find out. Or you was gonna find out once the next dude got stabbed tomorrow, you'd be like, oh, he must have been the one that did it. These newer facilities have cameras everywhere. They can track you walking all the way from your unit. Once they narrow it down to what unit you in, sometimes they can hit certain cells because they could look at certain races. Okay, we can count the blacks out, or we can count the Asians out, or we can count the, and then some of these SIS lieutenants and stuff like that, their job is to know who the gang members are, so they can see your face. Oh man, that's Sharky, or man, that's FG. We already know who it is. You know what I mean? So that could be a easy way they got them too.
Now, this was obviously a blind spot where there was no camera. But would you expect today that Victorville put a camera in this little spot in this little area?
It wasn't a blind spot. It was in a wide open space. It just was so far from the lieutenant's office that, like I said, it was going to take them a minute to get there. It wasn't a blind spot at all. This was out on the yard, out on the basketball courts, to the far basketball courts. They have a big yard over there at Victorville. I mean, a huge yard. And you can go so far back to the yard, man. I'm talking about I've seen a dude one day, we out there drinking, police get to chasing him. He got a gallon of hooch in his bag. They get to chasing him. He's running all over the yard while the police chasing him, homie, drinking his drink. And he didn't stop till he was finished with that. Man, he went in there drunk as a motherfucker, man. But this is how big this yard is. So it wasn't a blind spot. It just was a spot, like you said, if you do it in a unit, they can get to you fast. You do it in a child hall, library, things of that nature, they can get to you fast. You get out there on that yard and you get kind of towards the back of that yard, it just takes them that much longer. But it's cameras all over that setup.
So do you think a camera actually captured the assault on Xavier Sandez?
Every bit of it.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
every bit of it. And they obviously didn't care but this goes on all the time. It's just this dude happened to die. I don't believe that. I can't say, I wasn't there, or the intent, but this thing happens all the time where people don't die. So I can't even say that their intent was to kill him, opposed to, because why they didn't stab him, man? You know how big they got knives at Victorville too? They got knives this long, bro. They could have stabbed the shit out so when I say I don't think they were trying to kill him, I don't. Because they could have stabbed this dude 100 times before the police got there, and they didn't. So I don't think they was going to commit murder. I think they was going to just beat this dude so bad that they going to send him to the hospital, get him off the yard and all that. But I think they expected this dude to die.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting, because if they wanted to stab him, they could have stabbed him. And I'm assuming stabbing somebody is easier than if your intent is to kill him. Stabbing is easier than just using your bare hands.
Oh, no doubt. Plus, if your intent is to kill him, you're going to do it in the most brutal way you can. You know what I mean? You're going to set the tone. You're going to hit him all in the neck. You're going to do everything you can. Even if you start off with fighting, once you get him on the ground, homie, you're going to start gashing him. So I just believe, just in my experience, this probably wasn't even a planned murder. I think this dude happened to just die on him, and they was like, fuck. You know what I mean? And them fighting their cases, them seeing it on camera, them even probably admitting, bro, we were just fucking him up. We didn't expect him to die. Attorneys can fight, public defenders can fight, or if they had paid attorneys, and they, it was an accident, So I don't know, for them to plead guilty on a second degree, me personally thinking if they pled guilty, they promised them a certain time range, and 10 to 20 or something, it carries life. The maximum statute on that is a life sentence. But for them to plead guilty after 10 years, I believe they came to some kind of agreement.
Now, in the indictment, it says that It says the allegation that Javier Sandez was escorted to the rec yard in the prison where he was attacked. The statement says Patino, Ruiz, and Villegas are accused of striking and kicking him until he was no longer breathing, at which point Reyes instructed them to continue beating him, according to prosecutors. So that's interesting. And Reyes is the one that's not, that didn't plead guilty. He's not one of the three.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, Adelson Shanky Reyes, I guess, according to the indictment, is the one that was calling the shot, I guess. So would you say that kicking and striking him is not really intending to kill the person, but when the fourth guy says, don't stop, do it, continue doing it, and then at a certain point, the kicking and the strikings will lead to death.
Nah, because I mean, Alex, you out of 100 times, it won't. I've seen some dudes take some brutal ass whoopings with steel toe boots. You know what I mean? Jaw broke, eye busted, ribs broke, all that. And yeah, they fucked up. Yeah,
so this could have been a DP.
Could have been a DP.
Yeah.
The way you said they escorted him out there, he probably went out there and was taking his DP. It could have simply been that. If they escorted you, can't nobody escort you nowhere. You could somebody come say, man, come on, you could start fighting right there. If you know what I mean. So he could have went out there, man, and purposely took. But Alex, I've been to this institution. I've seen DPs go on. You got spots to go DP somebody that you won't get caught. You know what I mean? Everybody know that been to Vicky Deuce. You got a bathroom right there that multiple DPs go down in, but they may have put a bathroom. I think they put a camera at that bathroom while I was there, because that was one of the DP spots. But it's you could have DP'd him in a cell. I mean it's a lot of logic, because the COs leave and go outside sometimes. Somebody watch the door, get cracking, boom, DP the fool. You know what I mean? Mop up the blood and everything that's in the cell. You actually can have time to do all that. They took it to the yard. Hey man, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean the fact that they pled guilty to second degree, it tells you that they weren't even trying to charge, that they weren't going to go forward with a first degree on this. So they must know, the prosecutors, of how it went down and why it went down, and said we'll just give them the second degree. But the second degree is, you still getting time though.
Hell yeah,
it's almost
that you ain't promised a dub. I'm just saying the statute carry a life sentence. You could get a life sentence. I'm only saying, just based on that they didn't go to trial and lose it, I'm believing that they was offered some numbers in between. From here to here. That's what my take is. I'm not taking a second degree murder, just pleading guilty on it without some numbers. I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna go to trial with it.
Now I looked up Adelson Shanky Reyes, the guy that, according to the indictment, was the one that told them to keep kicking and beating them. It says on the BOP website that he's not in BOP custody, even though at the time he was serving 135 months. Maybe he just got released.
Yeah, because that was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
135, you said 135 months?
Yeah.
That's 11 years. Yeah, you only gonna do 9 off 11. He may have went home.
But how would he escape this case when it says, according to the indictment, he's the one that pretty much quarterbacked the whole thing?
But he didn't do nothing. He didn't touch the guy. You absolutely right. They usually would give you accessory, but this is a prison situation. That's not a street situation. I've seen a lot of times where people get stabbed and it's no repercussions to the stabber. You know what I mean? And so it's I can't answer that, Alex.
Okay. It's an interesting case because it took 10 years before I guess they decided to give these guys whatever they were offering them. 10 years later, this is a assault that happened in 2013, and these three guys just took this deal in 2023. It's bizarre.
Hey man, no, that's wild. That's crazy. But I definitely want to see what kind of time they walk off with. When you was talking about the one dude only had 16 months, he could have been per se the dude with the less stripes, and the crew. But guess what he got now? Next facility he go to, man, he gonna be welcomed with open arms, Alex. You know what I mean? They put that down. They didn't give a shit about going to the hole or none of that because they did it out on the yard, where they know they was going to be seen, So, yeah, he got to go walk off some time, a whole lot of it. But at the same time, man, in this underworld, when he get to that next spot, man, them little dudes who ain't never did shit going to be looking up to him,
Well, we're going to find out how much time they get. June 2023, all three of these guys will get sentenced. They're currently sitting in MDC, and I guess they'll be on their way to perhaps a FCI then, huh?
Nah, they going to send them to the USP.
I mean, the USP. That's what I meant.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
They're going to a USP. All right. Lastly, man, we didn't talk about this last week. I thought about talking about it, but they just released an extended video of Keenan Anderson, who was tased to death by the LAPD. Well, I don't know if that's the right way to say it. I don't think whenever the police are using tasers, they're not intending to kill you. That's the whole purpose of it. But the taser ended up killing Keenan Anderson in this, traffic stop.
You had it right the first time. They tased him to death.
They tased him to death. But that sounds what you're saying, but that sounds deliberate though, right?
Right, but at the end when we look at it and later on, when we speak how we regularly speak, man, he tased that boy to death, man. He ended up dying on behalf of the taser shocking his heart. He went into cardiac arrest. They actually, Alex hit him, tased him 6 times in 42 seconds, bro. That's excessive a little bit.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I watched this a couple of times. I have a clip here. I want you guys to hear this. This is about a 4-minute clip, and this is a new clip that was released. They're calling this the extended clip. I guess the previous clip was only about 2 minutes. This one's 4 minutes.
Okay.
I want you to hear Keenan.
In your pocket at all?
No, sir.
No ID on you. Are you gonna have an ID in the car?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Please.
So who's trying to get you? You said somebody's trying to kill you?
No, sir. Nobody's trying to kill my car. Job.
What's that?
My car malfunction.
Who's trying to kill you?
My car malfunction.
Your car malfunction.
Yes, sir.
Okay, but you're saying somebody's trying to kill you. You're saying somebody did something to your car?
No, I did that.
You did something to your car. And what did you do to your car? What did you do to your car?
I lost my key fob, and then I think that I needed air in my tire. I didn't have no. Can I see a lawyer?
What do you need a lawyer for?
I need a lawyer, sir.
Okay, we're still trying to figure out everything that's going on here, okay? All right? What's your name? Keenan?
Keenan Anderson.
Keenan Anderson. Okay, Keenan. Where do you live? If you want to have somebody see you.
Please.
Okay?
Please.
Just sit down for me a second here, okay?
Please, look, sir.
Sit down for me. Sit down.
You're putting a thing on me.
Sit down.
Making
I'm
me
not
hot.
putting anything. Come here. Sit down over here.
Please.
I don't want you in the road.
Please.
Come here. I don't want you in the road. Come here.
Please.
Come here.
Please.
Come here.
Please. Please.
Come here. Turn over on your stomach right now.
Yes.
Turn over on your stomach right now. Turn over.
Yes.
Turn over.
Yes, sir.
Over on your stomach. Get over on your stomach.
Hold on. Okay. Please,
Get
sir.
down.
Please don't do this. Please don't do this, sir. Please. Help me, please. You know what? Help me, please. No, please help me. Help me, please. Please.
Keenan, relax. Keenan, relax.
Help! They're trying to kill me! Hey, stop! I'm gonna tase you! Help! They're trying to kill me!
Hey, stop! I'm gonna tase you. Stop! I'm gonna tase you.
Relo's trying to kill me! I had to stop on YouTube!
Stop it! or I'm gonna tase you.
Yes, sir.
Stop it! or I'm gonna tase you.
Hey, please help me! Help!
Stop it! or I'm gonna tase you.
Dino!
Stop it! or I'm gonna tase you. I'm gonna tase you. Stop it right now. Stop it right now. Turn over. Turn over. I'm gonna tase you. Turn over or I'm gonna tase you. Turn over or I'm gonna tase you.
Yes.
Watch. Watch your elbow, partner.
They're trying to George Floyd me. They're trying to George
Stop
Floyd
it.
me.
Stop it or I'm gonna tase you. Okay, stop it or I'm gonna tase you. Stop it or I'm gonna tase you. Stop resisting.
Okay, I'm gonna stop it right there. At this point, they take the taser and they actually put it against his body. I guess they got certain tasers. Sometimes they can shoot the taser at you, but this one is they just put it against your body, and they're zapping like 50,000 volts of electricity through your body. Of course, it's gonna have an impact. And because of this, he died, and now there's a $50 million lawsuit being filed by Carl Douglas here in Los Angeles.
Right, no doubt. But I'm gonna be honest with you. That video sound a lot more traumatic than it looks. But he told the dude 50 times, stop or I'm gonna tase you, man. The reason why when he got on his motorcycle, he changed his tone from, hey, just come here, hey, just come here. And the guy tried to open some innocent driver going down the street, tried to open their passenger door. Once you did that, then all bets was off. Dude, stop talking nice to you. Dude, stop playing with you. He still had you to get on the ground. They were going to just detain you, put you in handcuffs, detain you. He fought off everything that he can. I listened to the words he was saying, Alex. He sounded like he wasn't stable mentally or on something. What's your take on that?
Well, I've been hearing that he was having a mental health crisis, but then they put out a toxicology report, preliminary report, that says he had cocaine and weed in his system. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if both are true. If both are true, you're not gonna be stable. I don't know if this is really a mental health crisis or if he was just high,
right, and
he was just on one, or if it's a combination that he has mental health issues and then he got high and that just exacerbated the interaction between him and the police. Mm-hmm. But I don't think it was an issue for 3 LAPD officers to just put him in cuffs.
Shit, it had to be an issue because they couldn't do it. And these dudes must be, I'm saying, damn, how strong is this dude? Because they never got him. It
didn't look like they was really trying to put him in cuffs. It just looked like they were just trying to hold him. And what it looked like, they was trying to get him to cooperate with their commands. I say, fuck the commands, just cuff him. Stop, turn over, move, do this. He's not going to do any of that. 3 grown men should be able to get this one guy, arms behind their back and cuffed.
Seemed like they should be, but I was looking and they didn't. Seemed like they damn near couldn't. He fought him off the whole time. Me personally, dude, it started off from a traffic accident, and you come up dead over a traffic accident. But if he wasn't mentally in his right mind or he was induced with, cocaine and marijuana, I could see how it triggered him to not be responsive, but it started off with a traffic accident. He wasn't accused of anything. The police didn't even have him in cuffs. Police were just sitting him down saying, man, I'm trying to see what's going on. He was erratic in his speech, and at the end of the day, man, this dude lost his life over a traffic accident. Nothing violent, nothing criminal, none of that. It was a traffic accident, and he lost his life behind it. So, on behalf of his 5-year-old daughter, they sue him for $50 million.
Yeah, well, I don't think they're gonna get $50 million, but I definitely think that there were other ways that the police could have handled this situation. And they didn't release all of the footage right away. They kept some of it out. Apparently, there's a conversation between this cop and Keenan Anderson for like 7 minutes before he runs in the street. And they didn't put that out. And I think that conversation kind of shows that, okay, this cop should have known I'm going to have potentially a mental health issue with this guy. Mm-hmm. So let's treat this differently.
Right.
But they went in there and they treated it like it was criminal, like it was a thug, like it was a bank robber getting away.
Let's be fair, Alex. He didn't treat him like that till he tried to open up a passenger's door on their car. And once he did that, man, if my daughter or my wife was in that car, my son, and the dude with erratic behavior goes to open up they door, then of course my wife or my son or my daughter gonna be yelling at the cop, do your fucking job. You know what I mean? And so I do know up until that point though, the officer was just like, come here, man, come here. He was treating it like a mental health patient. He didn't slam dude on the ground. He didn't handcuff dude when he was sitting on the ground. He didn't do none of that. When dude was walking out on the street, he said, hey, man, come on back. No, come on, Keenan, come on back. Called him by his name and all that. Come on back. When he grabbed that handle on that door, dude jumped on, man. He went over there and lay on the ground. You know, it changes the game. You know, and don't get me wrong, like I say, that don't change that he had a mental health crisis or even induced in drugs. That don't change the fact, but it changed the fact on how I got to deal with you now if you're going to add innocent people into what me and you got going on. You know what I mean? I still didn't see nothing but them trying to get him in cuffs. You know, I don't believe they ever had the tasing, though. Not one single time. You got 3 grown-ass officers right here. You never should have had the tasing, period, Alex. I mean, at all. Rough him up, get him in them cuffs, pick him up, put him in the car. We'll deal with it after that. You never had to tase this dude, man. You tased this dude because you wanted to. You know what I mean? Like you said, they wasn't trying their best to put him in cuffs, you know. And he was resisting, but you got 3 grown men, man. I think 3 whole men can grab an arm, bro, and get you in some handcuffs, man.
Also, I think they could have called this in as a mental health issue in those first 7 minutes before he ran out the street. It was clear that your conversation with Keenan Anderson was going unusual. At that point, after the first minute, the second minute, the third minute, you can just say, all right, I got a mental health issue. Let me call for backup. But for those first 7 minutes, it was just that one motorcycle cop and him. And then when he decides to run in the street, it's just him alone. And if they had more officers there and they called it in as a mental health issue, we probably would have never got to the point where he runs in the street and he's grabbing another car's door. I understand that, you know, grabbing another car's door, all right, now that changes the game a little bit because now you're putting the innocent bystander's life is at risk because you don't know if Keenan got a weapon, if Keenan is going to do harm. But at the end of the day, I think the LAPD could have did it better. They could have handled it better. They could have called it in sooner. We didn't know 7 minutes this cop is just there talking to Keenan. Keenan was on the floor originally, on the ground.
Oh, okay.
Remember Keenan's on the ground.
I remember he was sitting on the ground. Yeah.
But then he gets up, and then that's when he runs into the street.
Right, but like you say, it's a whole conversation somewhere that they omitting. For what purpose, I don't know, but you absolutely 100% right about that.
So, yeah, they eventually released it all. I mean, I don't want to play the whole thing. The whole thing is like 20-something minutes long. And maybe I'll put a link in the show notes to the whole thing. But now it's a $50 million lawsuit. Also, what's interesting is Keenan is actually related to Patrisse Cullors, who's the co-founder of Black Lives Matter here in Los Angeles.
Oh, damn.
So, you know, there's going to be a lot of advocates fighting for this lawsuit. And they're probably going to be trying to ask for charges against the officers, which I don't know. I don't know if there's. I don't know if there could be charges against the officers. Do you see anything? Do you think they crossed the line? Maybe.
I don't know if it's a like in a taser policy. Is it a policy where you tase the guy for a certain amount of time and let off? I don't know. Like I say, they did see that he tased the guy 6 times in 42 seconds.
That's a lot.
Yeah. If they can come back with the excessive tasing, then they can get something done. But other than that, man, this shit happens every day.
I mean, that's 50,000. This article says 50,000 watts of electrical energy. I think it's supposed to be, I think it's volts, but it says here watts. But nevertheless, it hurts.
Yeah, no doubt.
And it impacts your internal organs as well. So 6 times, maybe if 6 times is beyond the policy, maybe we'll see some sort of criminal charges, but I don't know. I'm unaware if you could charge an officer for tasing someone that ends up dying unless you did something criminal. I'm not sure if there's anything criminal here.
No, I definitely don't see anything criminal from Keenan.
No, I'm talking about the officers tasing them.
It's gonna be hard, man. It's gonna be hard.
Well, they're definitely gonna they're gonna get some money in this lawsuit. Carl Douglas, I think Carl Douglas is teaming up with Benjamin Crump on this case. And it looks like it's going to be a $50 million lawsuit, which was just filed earlier this week. And that's all we have for you guys this week, man. Where can people tap in with you, FG?
Man, come over there at FG Unleashed on YouTube, man. Check me out. Check out them videos. Like them if you like them. Make sure you hit the notification bell and the subscribe button. Check me out on Instagram at fgeneral1 on Instagram.
I eventually saw your interview you did with the dude from San Bernardino, the one that I missed. We were talking about that last week. What was the topic last week?
Clemency of pardons.
Oh yeah, clemency. Yeah. Dude got clemency. You had your boy on there from San Bernardino. So yeah, that's a good interview to check out, man. A lot of people need to tap in with FG Unleashed. And you got anything new coming up?
Yeah, I got something new I'm putting out in the morning. So if they tap in with it by this week, definitely they have something.
Okay. And you could tap in with me at the Street TV YouTube channel, where I put clips of this podcast occasionally. We just dropped a lot of clips from our last episode, which I believe is episode 48. You could tap in with me at Alex Alonso 101. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram on that handle. And also you could always contact me via email. Just go to streetgangs.com, click on the contact link, and you'll find my email there. And I want to thank all the Streets and Scholars listeners for listening to another fire episode.
Before we go real fast, Alex, I am getting a lot of requests for more clips, bro. So,
okay.
You know what I mean? They like the clip. So if you can get a chance to put some more out,
I just dropped like 3 or 4 of them this morning.
Cool.
So tap in with all those clips, support those clips, hit those clips, and run those numbers up. We'll really appreciate it. And thanks for listening to another fire episode of Streets and Scholars.